Here are the video solutions for AQA Functional Skills Level 2 Maths, Paper 2, which is the calculator paper, and this is June 2022. So let's go to question number 1. Here are four numbers, 11, 11, 13, 17, and we want to work out the median. So the median is the middle value when they are in order. Now they are in order, so which one is in the middle? So to work out the middle, cross out the one on the left and on the right, and we keep going until we've got either 1 in the middle, or in this case 2 in the middle. So it's a bit harder when there's an even number of values, although this particular question is not too difficult. When there's 2 in the middle, we just need to work out, well, what is halfway between 11 and 13? Well, halfway between 11 and 13 is 12. So here the median is 12. Question number 2, write the numbers in order starting with the smallest. So let's just look at the biggest first of all. So the biggest has to be one of the two positive numbers. 7 is bigger than 4, so 7, 4, done. Okay, now if you're struggling, be careful with negative numbers. First of all, let's pretend they are positive. 16, 2, 20 and 1. Let's put these in order. So let's go, well, again, let's go biggest first. So it goes 20, 16, 2, then 1. So this is the order. This is the descending order. This is the descending order for positive numbers. So therefore this is the ascending number for negative numbers. Okay, so what that means is that -1 is greater than -20. So -20 is the smallest, then -16, -2, then -1. Remember, the smallest is the one which is the most negative. So 20 is bigger than 16, so -20 is more negative than -16, so therefore -20 is smaller than -16. So yeah, so just be careful with the negative numbers that you've got them the right way around there. Here is a diagram made of 3 straight lines, and we want to work out this angle here. So the way to do this is to remember that this angle is opposite to this angle here, so this is 59 degrees. So here we've got a triangle. The angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees. So we've got 2 of the 3 angles. It's 59 degrees plus 76 degrees is 135 degrees. The angles of a triangle add up to 180, so the missing angle is 180 degrees. Take away 135 degrees, so angle X is therefore 45 degrees. Question number 4, the percentage increase from 250 to 330. Remember, the percentage change, whether it is an increase or a decrease, is the difference divided by the original value multiplied by 100. So the difference is 330, take away 250, which is 80. So there's 80 over what it was originally, which was what it was before it increased. So that is going to be the lower value in this case. So 80 divided by 250 multiplied by 100. Just type that into the calculator and you should get an answer of 32. So that is a 32% increase. Question number 5, we want to work out the perimeter. So the perimeter is this diameter. So here we've been given the radius as 5, so there's another 5 centimeters here to make the diameter of 10. So it's 5 plus 5 plus, what we've got here is half a circumference. Now the circumference is 2 pi r. So if we want half of this circumference, we want half of 2 pi r, which is simply pi r. So 5 plus 5 plus pi times by r, and the r is, well, we know that the r is 5, so it's 5 plus 5 plus 5 pi. Now you can use the pi button on your calculator, or it says in the instructions pi is 3.142, so 5 times by 3.142, that is the calculation we need to do there. So 5 times by 3.142 is 15.71, and to the 15.71 we're simply adding on the 5 plus the 5, so in other words 15.71 plus 10, so that is 25, oops, let me just scroll down a bit, 25.71 centimetres. Moving on to section B and question 6, which is a question about types of room in a hotel. we've been given information about the proportion of rooms that are single, double and luxury, and we need to show that more than 8% are family. So first of all, I'm going to work out what proportion are single, double and luxury, so that I can work out what proportion are family. So the proportion that are single, double and luxury is 11/40 plus 7/16 plus 1/5. And if you want on your calculator, you can just type in 11 divided by 40 plus 7 divided by 16 plus 1 divided by 5, or you can just use your fraction button, and that should work out as 73/80, which can be converted into a decimal. That is 0.9125. So what that means is that 7/80, which is 1 minus 73/80, so that is 7/80 are family. So all we need to do now is convert 7/80 into a percentage and see if that is more than 8%. Now, first of all, 7/80, your calculator might give it as a percentage, as a decimal rather, which is 0.0875. So if you want to turn a decimal into a percentage, you just multiply by 100. Let me just scroll down a little bit first. So we have 0.0875 multiplied by 100, so that is 8.75%. Alternatively, if you're converting the fraction into a percentage, it's 7 divided by 80 multiplied by 100, which will still give us 8.7%, and we have shown therefore that more than 8% are family rooms. Moving on to question 6b. So during the holiday, each guest visits either a castle, a zoo or a museum. The probability that they visit the castle is 0.55. So from this we can say therefore that the probability that they go to either the zoo or the museum is going to be 1 minus 0.55, which is 0.45. Now it says here that the probability of visiting the zoo is double the probability that they visit the museum. So let's write it like this. The probability that they go to the zoo is, actually let's do the probability that they go to the museum first. So the probability of somebody going to the museum, let's call it X. I know introducing algebra might seem a bit complicated, so therefore the probability that they go to the zoo is double that. So if it's X for the museum, then it's going to be 2X for the zoo. And these two probabilities combined come to 0.45. So if I add these together, X plus 2X, that equals 0.45. So therefore 3X is 0.45. So therefore 1X is 0.45 divided by 3. Scroll down a little bit. So therefore X is 0.15. So the probability of going to a museum is 0.15. So if two guests are chosen at random, what's the probability that they both visit the museum? Here we need to multiply this probability by itself, so 0.15 multiplied by 0.15, and that comes to a total of 0.0225, and we are done. So 0.0225. And question 6c. So we just need to work out the interest for Bank A and Bank B with a 3,000 investment. Just scroll down a little bit. So we need to show that it's at least £65 greater. So Bank A, it's 2.1% compound interest, so that means she's going to be earning interest on interest in subsequent years. Now 2.1%, what is the multiplier for 2.1%? Well, 2.1 divided by 100 is 0.021. Now this is the multiplier that we would use in order to calculate 2.1% of an amount. But if you want to increase by 2.1%, we add 1 to this figure here. So 1 plus 0.021 is 1.021. So we're starting off with our £3,000 and we are increasing it by 2.1%, so I need to multiply it by 1.021 4 times. So I can write times 1.021 times 1.021 times 1.021, etc., or just raise this to the power of 4. So that's our first calculation. So 3,000 multiplied by 1.021, power button, and put in 4, and we get £3,260 and 5p, just rounding it to the nearest penny. Okay, so let's note that that is Bank A. Bank B is 1.6% simple interest per year. So all I'm going to do is work out the interest. So 1.6%, 1.6 divided by 100 is 0.016. So I'm not going to increase the £3,000 here. I'm just going to work out what the interest is. So 3,000 multiplied by 0.016, that comes to 48. And we need to multiply 48 by 4 because the interest, because it's simple interest, it's always £48. 48 multiplied by 4 is £192, Bank B. So this is the interest. The only thing I've not done for Bank A is actually work out what the interest is. So given that the initial investment was 3,000, I just need to subtract the £3,000 from the final balance. I mean, this is quite an obvious calculation in my opinion. So that is £260.05. So we can see that there is more interest with Bank A than Bank B. Is it more than £65? Well, probably will be, but let's just confirm that, shall we? So 260.05 minus 192 is £68.05, and we can therefore say, well, I don't think we need to say this, but £68.05 is greater than £65. Moving on to question 7, if we just go down and see what the question is actually, what are we supposed to do here? We need to work out the mass of the ramp, and we've been told the density is 2,400 kilos per cubic metre. So we need to be thinking of our density formula here. So density is mass divided by volume. But we don't want to work out the density because we know the density, we want to work out the mass. So we want mass on its own, so we need to get rid of divide by volume, and if I move it over to the other side, it will become multiplied by volume. So density multiplied by the volume equals the mass. We know the density is 2,400, and we've been given the formula for the volume, which is the length of the base cubed multiplied by 1.7 divided by 12. So the only thing we need to do is work out the length of the base. Now, we've been given a scale drawing. This is centimetre square paper, and 2 centimetres represents 0.3 metres. So how many 2 centimetres do we have along the bottom here? Well, there's 1 2 centimetres, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's going to be 7 times 0.3, which is 2.1 metres. So the length of the base is 2.1 metres. So our calculation is 2,400 multiplied by 2.1 cubed multiplied by 1.7 divided by 12. And if you type that into the calculator, you should end up with 3,148.74 kilos. Okay, so in this question we know that a total of 160 skateboarders enter the competition, which is the total of this column and this row. So we're going to have to fill in all of these values here. So we know that 40% of the skateboarders do the Zulu run. So what is 40% of 160? Well, we know that 10% is 16, so 40% is going to be 16 multiplied by 4, and 16 multiplied by 4 is 64. So 64 skateboarders in total do the Zulu run. So if I know that 64 do the Zulu, then the rest must do the Yogi, which is 160, take away 64, which is 96. And if 18 of them are children, then the rest must be adults. So 96 subtract 18 is 98. So we're doing pretty well. Just from getting that one value, we've managed to put in a couple others at the same time. 18 of the children do the Yogis. Okay, we know that already. 20 more adults do the Yogi run than the Zulu run. Okay, so there's more that do the Yogi than the Zulu. So if it's 20 more, then the Zulu must be 78 minus 20, which is 58. So therefore the number of children that do the Zulu is 64 minus 58, which is 6. So the total number of children is 24. Now we could also work out the total number of adults as well, which is 136, although we don't need that value because we just want to work out the probability that a skateboarder is a child. Well, how many children are there in total? That is 24 out of how many people in total? 160. You can simplify the fraction if you want, but 24 over 160 is perfectly acceptable. So 24 over 160. Moving on to question 8. Yannick is walking a marathon to raise money for charity. It's 26.2 miles long. He starts at 9:30, walks at a constant speed and takes 3 breaks, 15 minutes each. So will he finish before 5 p.m? Okay, well the first thing I would do is look at the 3 breaks. 3 lots of 15-minute breaks is 45 minutes. So rather than him starting at 9:30 and taking 3 breaks, why don't we add 45 minutes onto the start time, which would be therefore 10:15. So let's just imagine that he starts at 10:15 in the morning and takes no breaks whatsoever. Or let's just imagine he starts at 9:30 and he takes his 3 15-minute breaks one after another immediately, which would be a bit bizarre, but for the sake of the maths this makes things nice and easy. Now what we want to do is work out the time. We've got a distance and we've got a speed. Remember, speed is the distance divided by time. Probably easier to write it, speed is distance over time, like this. And it's always useful to remember that when you've got an equation where something equals a fraction, these 2 bits can just be swapped. So the time is the distance divided by the speed. So here the time is the distance, which is 26.2, divided by the speed, which is 4. So therefore the time taken is 6.55. So this means 6.55 hours. Now be careful, this does not mean 6 hours 55 minutes. This is time can cause a lot of problems, and it's for this reason. Your calculator works in a decimal system. Time works in blocks of 60. So we know first of all that this is definitely 6 hours. So instead he starts at 10:15. So if I add the 6 hours, then that takes me to 16:15, otherwise known as 4:15 p.m. So I've dealt with the 6 hours. What about the 0.55 hours? Now let's think about this. Like I said, it's not 55 minutes. This is 0.55 of an hour. So it's not a full hour. In fact, it's quite close to half an hour because 0.55 is a half. So what we need to do is work out what proportion of an hour, and remember an hour is 60 minutes. So we need to work out, well, if an hour is 60 minutes, then what is 0.55 times 60? And that is 33 minutes. So all I need to do is 6:15 plus 33 minutes, and that comes to a total, well, that comes to 16, I don't know why I've gone back to 24-hour time here, but it doesn't really matter, 16:48 or 4:48 p.m. So will Yannick finish the marathon before 5 p.m? Well, the answer is yes, he will, because he finishes at 4:48. Okay, moving on to part B. So here we've got it was all about an estimated mean here. So first of all, we've been told we need to work out the midpoint. So halfway between 5 and 7 is 6, between 7 and 9 is 8, between 9 and 11 is 10, and 11 and 13 is 12. So we know that there are 30,000 people walking the marathon. 5,001 people took between 5 and 7 hours. So this midpoint means, well, these 5,001, we don't know if they took 5 hours or 5 hours and 1 second, or maybe they all took exactly 7 hours. The best guess is that we're saying that they all took 6 hours. So this column here is going to be the frequency multiplied by the midpoint, which is what we're doing here is working out the total time taken of these 5,001 runners combined. So 5,001 multiplied by 6 is 30006. So what we're doing is we're multiplying the frequency and the midpoint column. So the next one is 116128. This one's nice and easy, no calculator needed, just stick a 0 on the end. And finally 2018 multiplied by 12, that is 24216. Okay, so now the mean time is the total time taken by all the runners divided by the number of runners. So we know the number of runners is 30,000. What we need to do now here is work out the total time, which is adding up these subtotals here, and that comes to 255,000. So therefore the mean, or it's actually an estimated mean, and it's an estimated mean because we're assuming that they all took 6, 8, 10 and 12 hours. We don't know what their actual times were, we're just guessing here. So it's going to be the total time, or the total estimated time, divided by the number of runners, which is 30,000, and that comes to a total of 8.5. So the mean is 8.5, which was it was lower. The previous year it was 9.2 hours. So yes, it is more than half an hour because 9.2 take away 8.5 is 0.7, and 0.7 is greater than half an hour, which would be 0.5. There we go. So the key thing here is working out that the mean, or the estimated mean, is 8.5 for this year's results. And now moving on to 8C, so a question about ratio. Okay, so we know the ratio of adults to children is 11:1. So what this means is 11/12 were adults and 1/12 were children. The reason is the number on the bottom of this fraction is 12 is because 11 plus 1 is 12. So if there's 30,000 people in the marathon and 11/12 are adults, well, what is 11/12 of 30,000? So to calculate a fraction of an amount, you take your total, you divide it by the number on the bottom, and you multiply by the number on the top. So this will be the calculation for the number of adults, which is 27,500. And if they're all paying £38 each, 27,500 multiplied by £38, that comes to a total of £1,045,000. So that is greater than £1 million. So yes, the target has definitely been met. Moving on to question 9. So Chen has a pool in his garden. Chen's pool is cylindrical. The diameter is 2.3. He wants the depth of the water, so he wants it filled up to this line here, so a depth of 1.6 meters. We know the rate at which the hosepipe can fill the pool, and we know that 1,000 litres is a cubic metre. So how many minutes will it take for the pool to go from empty to the required depth? So what we need to do first of all is work out the volume of water that we need to put in here. So what is the volume of this cylinder when it's filled up to 1.6? Now the volume of any, I'm kind of surprised you've not been given the formula here, but the formula of a cylinder, well, first of all, the formula for the volume of any three-dimensional shape is the area of its face multiplied by its depth. Now here we have a circle. The formula for the area of a circle is pi r squared, and we are multiplying that by its height. So this here is the formula for the volume of a cylinder. So let me just write this down here. So it's pi r squared h. So that is going to be 3.142 multiplied by the radius. Now the radius is half of 2.3. 2.3 divided by 2 is 1.15, so times 1.15 squared multiplied by the height, which is 1.6, and that comes to 6.648472 cubic meters. Okay, so what we need to do now is we want to turn this into litres, because the fill rate is litres per minute, or it's 50 litres per 4 minutes. And we know that 1,000 litres is 1 cubic metre. Okay, so what I need to do is multiply this one by 1,000. So that is easy enough, just move the decimal point 1, 2, 3 positions. So 6.648472 cubic metres, that is the same as 6648.472 litres. Now we know that the fill rate is for 4 minutes for every 50 litres. So how many 50 litres are there in this number here? So 6648.472 divided by 50. That comes to 132.96944. So this is lots of 50 litres. So if it's 50 litres every 4 minutes and we have 132-ish lots of 50 litres, then I need to multiply this figure by 4. So 132.96944 multiplied by 4, and that comes to a total of 531.876 minutes. I was surprised that you've not been asked to turn that into hours, but that, or an answer close to that, is what is required here. So let's just maybe call that 532, shall we? Okay, let's move on to question number 9. Chen needs to buy 3 gallons of cleaning chemical. And okay, so note that the prices, or the prices per litre. So if 1 gallon is 4.546 litres, then 3 gallons is simply going to be 3 lots of 4.546 litres, and that comes to a total of 13.638 litres. Okay, let's have a bit more space. It's per 1 litre bottle, so if you can only buy 1 litre at a time, then we're going to have to round this up to 14 litres. So 14 bottles. So 14 bottles multiplied by £8.49, that comes to a total of £118.86. So it's tempting to think at this stage, well, that costs more than 100, but we just need to check this offer here. We're buying more than 4 bottles, so we're going to get 1/6 off. So you could either work out 1/6 of this and subtract it, or if it's 1/6 off, that means you're paying 5/6. So what is 5/6 of 118? So here's our final calculation, 5/6 of £118.86. So here we're working out a fraction of an amount, so we take our total, we divide by the number on the bottom, and we multiply by the number on the top. And this comes to £99.05. So is Chen correct? He says it will cost less than £100. So we can say therefore, yes, Chen is correct. I don't think we need to do anything further, but you could just say that £99.05 is less than £100, although that's pretty obvious, I think. Just showing that you've got this answer will be more than acceptable.